you're looking to start making content in 2026, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by all the gear options to choose from. After documenting my life for the past year, I've learned what gear actually matters and what's going to help me make better videos whilst I'm out on the go or by myself. If you don't know who I am, which you probably don't, my name is Jad and I've been making short form content for the past year, but I'm trying to transition into YouTube videos as well. And today I wanted to spend some time talking about my compact and affordable camera setup for making cinematic videos going to 2026. First and foremost, the camera body. What camera body do I use to shoot all the footage that you're seeing on screen right now? Well, that'd be my Sony a7C2. Now I can't show you this camera because it's what I'm using to film right now, but let me tell you about what I consider basically my best friend. Now the reason I got this camera specifically is that I wanted something that was going to be a really good hybrid camera. I wanted something that was going to be really good at taking pictures and videos, and this camera does exactly that. Now this isn't a specs kind of video, so I won't bore you with any of that. I'll kind of talk about my real world experience of shooting with this camera. The camera is super lightweight, super compact, and with the lenses that I'm using, it's a very discreet setup in my opinion. The 4K footage from this camera is downsampled from 7K, so it's super crisp and super sharp. The autofocus on this camera is just absolutely ridiculous, and it's super spot on 99% of the time, which is incredibly useful when you're vlogging on the go. Most importantly with this camera, I can film in 10-bit S-Log3. And if you don't know what log is, it's basically a super flat and desaturated image, which is really good for retaining loads of information and dynamic range, and that lets me manipulate it however I want in post when I'm color grading. As well as shooting in log, here are some settings that I use whilst I'm filming. So I shoot in 4K 24 FPS or sometimes 60 FPS, which does come with a slight crop. I shoot in a shutter speed of 1/50 or 1/125, depending on if I'm shooting slow-mo or not. And I also will overexpose S-Log3 by 1 to 2 stops. Now moving on to lenses, I keep it very simple and I carry 2 lenses with me wherever I go. My first lens is my ultra-wide lens, which I probably use most of the time, and that lens would be my Viltrox 20mm f2.8 lens. Now I think 20mm is the perfect focal length for my type of video. I like to keep it wide enough so that you can see the whole scene without being too distorted, and at the same time it's such a small and lightweight lens that it keeps the setup very compact whilst I'm out and about. Another thing is the fact that it's f2.8, which means it gets really good low light performance, especially for the price of £165. Another great thing about this lens is the autofocus. It's super responsive and it's very silent, so it's really good when the microphone is right next to the lens and it doesn't make too much of a sound. However, one negative thing about this lens is the fact that there is some vignetting around the corners, but you can get rid of that in post quite easily as well. Now, if you know much about full frame lenses, you know those can go very, very expensive very quickly. So for £165, this thing is an absolute bargain. Now the other lens I have is a bit more zoomed in, but it's also a prime lens, and that lens would be my 50mm f2 Viltrox lens. Now this lens is just as good, if not better, as my other lens. It's better in low light because it's f2, it's a bit more zoomed in, and that lets me get a bit more depth of field and background blur, and also it has less vignetting than the other lens. And it's even a bit cheaper. This lens costs £130. Now this lens is actually very new to me. I've only had this for about 2 weeks and it replaced my old Sony kit lens, which was a 28-70 f3.5 to 5.6. That lens was just not great to use. It was terrible in low light and it didn't give any kind of background blur even at 70mm because of the fact that it was f5.6. So this is definitely a great upgrade. Now another thing I use for my lenses are these, which are variable ND filters. And what these do is that they essentially act as sunglasses for your camera. So if you remember earlier, I said that I shoot in a shutter speed of 1/50, which for when you're outside in the bright sunlight, it's way too bright for that environment. What these essentially do is that they reduce the amount of light that your camera gets, allowing you to get that nice cinematic motion blur, which feels just like real life. Now I personally use the K&F Concept Nano B series, which are basically just the cheapest ones I found on Amazon, and they work perfectly fine. You can get some ND filters that cost up to hundreds of pounds, 50, 60, 70 pounds, and I just don't think that's worth it. I've never personally felt the need to get anything more expensive than these. Now, next on the list is audio, and audio is so much more important than people realize. I thought, what better way to show off my microphone other than being outside in the wind and far away from the camera. Now, the microphone I use is clipped right here, and it's my DJI Mic Mini. I got this thing for about £70 and it's absolutely amazing. The range is great. I can be all the way here. I can even look away and the mic works perfectly, or I can even be as close to the camera as I want. Point being, the range on this thing is great. The audio quality is great, and it was an absolute bargain for the price. Now, finally, the last thing I wanted to talk about today are accessories, and my most important accessory is this thing right here. It's essentially two pieces of kit that screw into each other. It mounts onto the camera, which has an Arca Swiss plate on it via this quick release plate. That basically lets me put it on and off really easily. It can move in loads of different directions, so I can unscrew this part and then that will allow me to move it however I want with the camera on it. It's a really great setup and it cost me about £30. It is definitely worth it. I take this thing everywhere with me. I mean, my camera is never off this thing. One last thing I have, which rarely comes out with me because I don't like carrying around a big tripod, is my Amazon tripod. It was literally an Amazon Basics tripod for about £15. Very cheap. People say to invest loads in a tripod. I personally didn't because I have this thing and I don't really want to carry around a big bulky tripod. My whole thing is that I very much like a very compact and small setup, which is lightweight and easy to carry around, and a tripod is not one of those things. I'll only ever use a tripod if I'm at home, which I am right now, and that's what my camera's set up on right now. As well as that, I have a magic arm that I got off of Amazon. I haven't really had the chance to use it much, but it can get you some pretty cool angles, I guess. And yeah, so what's my final verdict? Is this the camera for you? I think it's a great camera. I think it's very compact and lightweight and easy to carry around, and with the setups that I've got with those two lenses, it's very, very discreet and super easy to carry around. It does great pictures, great video, and the lenses are great value for money. This whole setup is about being affordable, which in the camera space is quite hard to do. And I'm personally of the opinion that if you're not going to spend loads of money on a camera, you're probably better off just using your phone, which does absolutely great videos anyway. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. And if you like my content, if you like the things that I'm speaking about, please consider subscribing. It would really help me out. And if you like anything to do with tech, lifestyle, or cameras, then definitely do subscribe because I'll be putting out a lot more content over the next year. So thank you so much for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.